This is Limited Engagement.
It's interesting, I don't necessarily feel like a part of any one particular, because there are all these like satellite communities here and there, and I know some people in all of these different areas, and they're, in these areas which I know people, your name does come up a lot. Like, you're like, oh, Ernesto's working as part of this show at Space 55, or he's doing the erotic show at the Owen House. It definitely does seem like you're very present as part of the Phoenix arts and literature community.
Well, that's one of the major metamorphoses between being in Mexico and being here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in Mexico and I'm a writer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the communities in Mexico are not saying there's no crossovers.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, what do you call them? Pollinization.
Cross-pollinization.
Cross-pollinization, thank you.
Sure.
There is.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not done as much as here.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was a writer there, I was friends with the contemporary dancers. I was friends with the painters. I was friends with the musicians.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like I was welcome immediately to their art form.
Sure.
Like I remember doing some paint work for the contemporary dancers. Like I painted their bodies for one performance, and somebody was like, "Oh, you do that?" Like very surprised. I'm like, "Yes, I just don't do this trick. I have other tricks." When I presented my novel, like the first event, when we're like, "This is the published work," I did it in the respected setting. So I had two writers, friends of mine, who spoke of the work in a very academic way.
Mm-hmm.
I had music, I had a little wine, but the music was it's actually friends of mine that live in town and still play Sectas.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cool heavy metal band that recently had a pretty cool show in the marquee opening for Ingwie Malmsteen. Yeah. So, but they did an acoustic set. That was my challenge to them, like, do an acoustic set. So that was different. And then when I finally took the microphone, I stood up and I basically did stand up. I did stand up for the first time, and my theme was, you're a writer, and no girl gets naked because you're a writer. That's so hot. No, like that musicians get that, and tormented painters get that. But being a writer is not that sexy, So let's change that shit, And I got, I had a lot of students there. There was a lot of pleated skirts in the audience, and I got laughs and people were having a good time, but there was also written negative reviews. It's like, what does he think he is, Seinfeld? Like this is literature here. What the fuck? So when I came here and I started doing readings and getting into the community, I noticed that it was not a big deal to jump back and forth. And then a really good friend of mine who also immigrated here, Daniel Ruiz, was into improv. He invited me to shows. We eventually started doing improv, and that just opened the doors. And I realized, man, this is helping me teach. This is helping me doing interviews. This is helping me write it, Who knew? If you... And then, host this. Do you want to host this? Yeah, I'll take the microphone. It's like improv, right? And then from there, like somebody offers me a job, like, do you want to teach theater? Well, yeah, I should act, right? Because I'm going to teach it. And then one thing leads to another, and nobody stops you. Mm-hmm. Like Phoenix is one of those cities where the greatest thing is that because there's not an industry, it's not like Hollywood. It's not like New York.
There's not a gatekeeper.
There's not. It's not. You're not doing this to get on TV.
Right.
So people are like, "Oh, you want to do a show? Yeah, I have a stage. Go for it." And that just unleashes your creativity, and you're not a one-trick pony. You don't feel like stuck in one thing.